What's going on, y'all? There's a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to jump right in. I'm kind of standing in between the bass boat and the truck at the moment because my bass boat is a train wreck, my kayak is a train wreck, everything is just all over the place. The last handful of weeks has been super busy between doing video shoots with Bassmaster to get some new video content up there. I'll put the links on that below for people that want to go check that out. We're doing installing brand new lithium batteries into my Vexus VX20, which is an exciting adventure, but that comes with some work. Went with Powerhouse Lithium. Many thanks to Summerland Outdoors for that hookup and connection. On the kayak side of the house, many of you know that I was just at Lake Fork. That event was nothing more than a crazy adventure. I don't know what better way to put that. I have never worked so hard in my life traveling to and from an event and dealing with the kind of weather and conditions that we dealt with on that trip. We got to Lake Fork on Tuesday. That was February 1st. We pulled in, everything was calm, comfortable, cool, got checked in nice and easy, 13-hour drive, get some rest, get up the next morning, bang, we're at it. Get out to the lake, go to Little Caney, because that's where I think I want to work from for the tournament. First thing I do is look, it's that time of the year, it's early season, fish should be starting to move up. I'm going to the mouth of Little Caney. Weather was supposed to be good for the entire day. I can promise you it wasn't. I got all the way down to the mouth of Little Caney, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is that a storm rolling in? Take a look over, and there is weather blowing the fog out as fast as I can freaking see it. I take a look back, look at my phone real quick. For sure enough, there's a weather system moving in. Call my buddy, Dan, there's weather coming, we gotta bounce. We at least need to move further up. As soon as I got off the phone, I started getting pummeled by 15 to 20 mile an hour winds straight out of the north. 2 to 2.5 foot waves coming over the front of the kayak. It was a fun ride back, I'll put it to you that way. And there's nothing like trying to navigate stump fields when the wind's blowing hard and the waves are rocking. So anyway, I got to practice and found a few things, but I didn't find exactly what I was looking for or exactly what I wanted to deal with. Later that evening, it started to rain, and then the rain turned to snow. Well, the rain turned to sleet, turned to freezing rain, and then turned to snow the next day. It basically did that all night and into the next morning. We had the cover on the kayaks. My cover was frozen rock solid by the time I got back to it. There was 1 inch of ice on the back of the truck. That was fun to get off. I couldn't open the back and really get to anything without getting that ice off there, so we had to de-ice that. We de-iced walkways. We ended up putting kayaks into warmer storage areas. Many thanks to Lake Fork Marina and Motel for their hospitality and their support in that effort. They took extremely good care of us and made sure that we had places to put the kayaks and to keep them as out of the weather as best as possible. Everything was frozen. Thursday was just a crapshoot for trying to figure out how to get on the water, how to try and do anything manageable. It wasn't really a safety thing. Let me rephrase, it really wasn't safe to be out. So it didn't go out due to safety reasons. I was like, we're just gonna save it till Friday. So Friday rolled around, again, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds coming out of the north. We decided to make 2 jumps. One, went back to Little Caney to check another area out, and then also went to Mustang. Popped into Mustang for a little while, and then check-in took place. Board checks happened, grabbed some dinner, and got ready for the tournament. I can't say that I went into the tournament blind. A couple things that I found in practice was that most of the bait that I had found on Wednesday that was in the middle of the creek had pushed back towards the front of the creek. Okay, something to work with, consistent with, all right, bass are moving up, bass are gonna stick in proximity to the bait, should be able to work out that kind of area within the creeks and kind of make a solid decision. Set up all of my practice time, all my prep time, all of my research suggested that, Fork was big for black and blue jigs right now, should be throwing a black and blue jig. Well, I threw a black and blue jig and it was worthless. We had 3 days of extremely cold weather. It was, 18 or 20 degrees on the first tournament morning, and we went from that very terrible cold weather system that came through with all that rain and all that ice and all that snow, and then we transitioned into bright bluebird skies. If we were back home at Clarksville Lake with blueback herring, the lake would have been on fire, fish would have been eaten like crazy, but we are not on that kind of fishery. Lake Fork, lots of largemouth bass, lots of gizzard shad. Those fish went into lockjaw mode and everybody struggled. I was fortunate enough on day one of the tournament to get 3 bites. Those 3 bites were solid bites. I caught a 4-pounder, a 6.6, and a 7-pound fish on day one of the tournament. They were fantastic, but those are the only 3 bites I had all day, and I caught them all on a crankbait. My thought process was, if the fish really did have a case of lockjaw, which they seem to have, and I could see fish on Panoptics looking at my jig and stuff and really not committing to it, that I needed to get reaction bites out of them. So I pushed that issue, pushed the crankbait towards them, and I got bit that way. Moved to day 2. Well, I'm gonna continue to do more of the same and hope the jig bite picks up. Well, the black and blue jig bite never picked up. And being that I really didn't have any confidence in the jig in general, and I was getting all my bites on the crankbait, it was like, look, I'm gonna run water, I'm gonna cover territory, and I'm gonna set on the crankbait. I sat on the crankbait, I got bit early, lost a fish that was probably in the 15-inch range. I got bit again about 1:30. That fish was 18 inches, actually got it to the boat, and then I got bit a 3rd time. And you know, this is a fish that I'm probably gonna regret. The story behind this fish is I got bit, and when I got bit, the fish missed it, flat out. It took a hook to the side in the process and was foul hooked. You know, the rules when it comes to bass fishing and bass fishing tournaments is that if you foul hook a fish, as long as you weren't sight fishing for that fish can be a legal fish. So I'm playing that fish as that fish is coming to the boat. I don't realize it's foul hooked until I see it. I just know that it's pulling funny. I get it into view and can actually see the fish, and I've got 1 treble stuck in the side of that fish. I'm like, all right, I can manage this fish. I'll just kind of keep working it along. We'll play the game here. Fish is getting close to the boat, and all of these big bass, the first thing they do when they see that boat, make a hard right turn and dive to deeper water and head straight for the timber field. Well, this fish did that as well. Makes that hard right turn, starts diving. I'm letting out drag, just being patient and like, okay, when do I, you know, stop the drag and prevent that fish from going any further? It started getting close to a tree. I started getting out of sight, and I'm like, okay, it's time to stop the drag. I stopped the drag, and I got about 2 seconds after stopping the drag, and the fish pulled just hard enough to jerk that hook out, and the bait floated to the surface, and well, that was that. You know, that fish cost me a paycheck. That fish cost me a pretty good finish. You know, you got to convert. If you can't convert fish to the boat, you know, you can't score inches and you can't score weight, and you know, you can't win tournaments or cash checks if you don't get fish in the boat. So, you know, it's part of the game. It's what happens. You know, could I have done that situation better? I don't know, probably not. It's probably a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, but I kind of made the best of it. You know, overall, I had a good tournament. For how tough the fishery was, I mean, you had a 150 angler field and a total of 350 some odd fish were submitted. I think I saw a note that the average amount of fish caught by any angler was 2 fish, like 2.3 fish or something like that. I caught 4 fish and I finished 31st out of 150 boats. That's insane, especially for a fishery like Lake Fork. The big fish were there, and the big fish were definitely eating. When you got bites, the bites were typically good bites, but the quantity just wasn't there. The number of bites wasn't there. And you know, I got back and got the opportunity to kind of listen to some of the recaps and listen to the details, and I had the crankbait bite in, fine and dandy. But where I got beat was that black and blue jig. I went with that black and blue jig because all the fishing reports, all the details, all the notes leading up to the event said black and blue jig. And you know what the winner and some other guys that were up in the top threw? A freaking green pumpkin with orange jig. And my God, if I tell you that that's probably not one of my favorite jigs to throw in the world. I love throwing green pumpkin. For those that fish with me, I live and die by green pumpkin. But I went off, you know, off the details, off the reports, and went black and blue, and I just couldn't get them to eat it. You know, you live and you learn, you make your best decision, and you move forward. In any case, like I said, there's just been so much going on. I'm trying to get unpacked, trying to get everything put back together. I feel bad that I haven't posted a video in a while, but with everything going on, I kind of got to do what I got to do right now. I got a little bit of off time between now and the next big event. The next big event is the Bassmaster National Kayak Championship, which is going to take place on Lake Russell. It's practically a home event. I'm so excited for it. Can't wait to see that and how that unfolds. The field looks small at the moment, but I do expect to see some more entries trickle in. I really don't care how big or little that field is at the end of the day, because really the winner of that is still the national champ, and there's something to be said for that because you had to earn your way into that event in the first place. Outside of that, I appreciate everybody that's been supporting me along the way. My fans, my friends, my family, you guys are the best. Thank you for having my back. I'll leave you guys with some pictures from my week. Don't laugh too hard. It was a pretty sucky week from a trip, hard work kind of perspective, but you know what? It was like Fork, and regardless of the weather, I had fun, I had a blast, and I look forward to the next time. Thanks guys, keep it real.